Okay, the stream should be working now. Yep, stream should be live. I've got a bunch of stuff set up on this today, so going to be a bunch of stuff I got to keep track of here. So let me jump in here. Okay, so we're going to talk about recording. We're going to kind of jump in here. This isn't normally where I talk about recording. Oh, sorry, let me switch over to the stream. Yes, I will. There's a link. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to make a quick version, a quick Pro Tools session here. Actually, before I get to that, let's talk about mic technique first. So, okay, this is going to be this one. Okay, now I'm going to turn on, I've got actually two mics on here, so things might sound a little funny. I'll try to turn them on and off as the need arises, because I've got a microphone from for me to speak to, and then I've got another microphone for the that you see in the picture here that I'm going to be working with. So we're going to talk about how to record vocals first. So I'm going to go over to the other microphone. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to record vocals first because you guys are going to be recording some vocals here pretty soon. So there's a couple things you need to pay attention to here. You're going to be recording the musical theater students as they do their submissions for the recital that they're going to do for the broadcast thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a microphone up like this in 241 across the way from you guys that are in the studio, of course. And then you guys, we're going to run mic cable over to the other room, and then they're going to come into the room. You'll touch base real quick. They'll go into the room. They're going to put, you're going to have the backing tracks for them to sing to. We're going to have a speaker in there and a microphone in there. They go in there, they set up their phone and record their video. You hit record, and then we're going to, you'll record good audio. They'll record good video. They'll submit the video to me, and yada, yada, yada. It's all said and done. So let's go through what needs to happen here. So first off, obviously, you need a microphone. So we're going to we have a microphone that should be in the recording studio. Behind the whiteboard, there should be a shelf, and there is a black case that says Rode, R-O-D-E on it. That is the microphone that we're going to be using. Now, be careful. The latches are broken on that case. So when you grab it, if you grab the handle, when it opens up, the handle is on both sides of it. So if you grab the handle, you're actually grabbing both sides of the case. So it won't open on you as long as you comfortably grab that handle. So just go ahead and do that. So you're gonna grab that that microphone, and that microphone is a little bit different than this one. This one is a traditional, just a typical solid state microphone. The microphone that we have there is a tube microphone, which means it has a vacuum tube in it. It affects the sound of it. So it's got a box with it that's going to need to power it. So if you look on the box, in there, you should have four things. You should have a microphone, actually five things: a microphone, a little circle clip thing that will go on the microphone stand, a cable, the microphone cable, which is a special kind of microphone cable, the power box, and then a power cable for that. Now, As you're looking at it, the box does say something specific on it about the order you should turn the power on. Make sure you adhere to that. It will increase the lifetime of that microphone. So please stick with what that says. I'm not even going to try to remember exactly what it says because I don't want to get it wrong. So just trust what the box says. Okay, so what you're going to want to do first is actually, I'm going to have to turn this mic off and turn the other one on to do this because I got to disconnect this one. Okay, so this is the room mic. So great, you can hear me even though you're not hearing this one anymore. As I'm tapping on it, you're obviously not hearing it. So there's a couple things that we got to talk about before we actually set this microphone up. So this has a feature that we don't have on the one that we have there, but you'll have a actually, let me grab this. Okay, so microphone stands. This is going to sound really funny, but I find that it's really important for me to actually talk about microphone stands. I know that seems like such an obvious, simple thing for people to talk about, but I see them used wrong a lot. So we have a microphone stand here, and it's got threads on it. They're out of focus, but you know what you're looking at here. And then you're going to have, obviously, the female connection on the mic clip that will mount the microphone to the stand. Now, when you screw that on there, it should go on easily. If it doesn't, stop, because you are stripping the threads of the mic stand. I've seen it happen way too many times, and it's amazing that people fight with these things. So if it's not going on easy, then it's not going on right. So make sure that you take your time to screw that stuff on there, and make sure that it is make sure that it's going on correctly and safely. So I'm going to move over here, further away, harder to see, but I'm going to put this on here. Now, there's a couple things about a mic stand that we need to talk about. A couple other things that I see as an issue is that there's a couple different places that you can adjust it. The first one is down here, right on the middle part. Now, the stand that we have in the studio, I think, is like this one. It might be one of the big silver ones, and with the big silver ones, it's still the same concept. It's just slightly different, but this is what you're more likely to see. So there is a turn thing right here. Now notice I only turned it half a turn, and the mic and the top fell down. Now down here, what you can't see is I just turned it another half a turn, and now it's locked in place. The number one issue that I see with people that haven't used mic stands very much is they spin the things for days. They go to loosen and tighten things, and they spin them for like 20 rotations. You should never have to turn anything on this stand more than 2 full turns. Actually, that's being generous. Usually it's about 1, maybe a little bit, maybe 1.5 if you want to tighten it down. But do not, if you're sitting there spin, 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 you're doing it wrong. All you're doing, at that point, literally, you're taking the microphone stand apart, okay? So it should not take that much. So right here, I've got a boom on here. I'm going to half a turn, move the boom, half a turn, it's not moving. Half a turn, right? I think I've made my point. So if you have to spin it 2 or 3 times around, something's wrong, okay? Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey for this part of the stand, where the stand extends vertically. This is as if you're looking down at it. It's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. The rest of this stuff, if you're looking at the knob, then it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I know it sounds dorky, but if you remember it, fine. Make sure that every part of the stand is tight. So the boom here actually separates from the rest of the stand. So I'm going to turn this and make sure that it is solidly on there, and it is. Now I'm going to do half a turn down here, spin it around, full turn just to make sure it's tight, and now I'm good. This isn't going to move, this isn't moving, this is, now that's not moving, this isn't moving, nothing else is moving. So if you're spinning a bunch, I've said it so many times, but You have no idea how many times I see people do this. You should only have to spin it once or twice, and it should be locked down and be good. Now, the other thing is I see people with a boom arm say, it's not where I want it, I'm going to grab it and pull it. Do not do that. Do not do that. Do not do that. The reason is because the way that this stays in place is that there are rubber gaskets here that basically compress, and then they push against the sides. When you do this, you actually start breaking down and ripping the rubber in here, and eventually, and I'm going to loosen to show you this, so I'm going to loosen this stand. Eventually you end up with a stand that you'll set it in place, and over the course of your recording session, it will slowly start to fall down, and eventually it's going to be down here. So, set it once, tighten it, leave it alone. If you have to move it, you loosen it first, move it, tighten it, then you're good. Okay? Please, we don't own that many stands at Otterbein. Save the ones we got. Okay? So that's how to use a microphone stand. I know it sounds like a dumb thing to talk about, but you have no idea how many times I see it done wrong. And you have no idea how many times how many mic stands I've lost because I use them in live shows and people don't adhere to that. So this is a quick lock thing that I'm using. I'm going to cheat my way around it. So the microphone I'm using here is not the same as the microphone that you're going to use, but the concepts are still the same. This is the stand, this is the clip, the mount for the microphone I'm going to use. Notice that the microphone is not in it, okay? So whenever I put something like that on the stand, I don't want the microphone in it in case I do something wrong and I drop it, right? This microphone that I'm about to use is a little over $1,000 retail. The one that you guys have is like, I want to say it's $500 or $600. These aren't cheap, so be careful with them. And I'm not mentioning that to try to. I'm mentioning that for one thing is because if you like the sound of this microphone and you want to look for one, then you have a ballpark of what it's going to cost. So let's go ahead and grab the microphone. Now I'm going to put the microphone up here. Now in this one, I have to rotate part of the clip to hold onto the microphone. Notice I have not let go of the microphone. Now I'm going to move my hand, and I'm just making sure that it's in there, and it is, so I can let go. The Rode mic that we have is similar. There's a locking ring. You'll put the base of the microphone up in the clip, and then you'll rotate a ring, and it will tighten it to the microphone, and then the microphone should hang securely. Okay? And then, of course, after that, we're going to plug in the mic. Okay? And I'm going to switch over to this microphone so that you can hear some of the other things I'm going to talk about. Okay. So now we're looking at the vocal microphone. You're listening to this microphone now. So you're going to notice that I have it set up high and aimed downward. That seems kind of weird. Might seem kind of weird. There's actually a good reason for that. So this came about because in the old days, a lot of good studio microphones had vacuum tubes in them, just like ours. And that vacuum tube, as it warms up, is generating heat. And the problem with that is that the heat is going to go upward because basic science, heat rises, right? If you've ever looked at a road in the summer, you can see the heat coming off the road, right? You can see like those waves. Basically, heat will distort, not in the fuzzy sounding guitar version of distort, but it will mess with air pressure, and sound waves are air pressure. So heat going over a capsule will actually affect the sound. Additionally, it will change. Remember, things expand when they get warm. The diaphragm, which is the part of the microphone that picks up your voice, will also expand, and that will be a bad thing, right? So we don't want that to change. So by hanging the mic upside down, the heat goes up. Now, even if you don't have a microphone that is a tube-based microphone, I still mount it like this. There's a couple reasons for that. The first reason is simple comfort. When a microphone is here, there's a lot of apparatus that's just right in front of me. It feels a little claustrophobic. Whereas when the microphone is up above me, I have this space here. You can have a vocalist that is very emotive with their hands, and they're not going to have anything in their way. It just feels a little less, it's a little less claustrophobic. That's the first reason, and arguably maybe the most important one, is that it makes the performer comfortable. The second thing is that if you've paid attention to vocals, you'll know that your voice comes from more than just your mouth. It also is impacted by your sinuses, right? It's also impacted by your chest. If you put your hand on your chest, you'll feel the vibrations as you talk. Now, in a recording, in a live situation, I might want some of that nasalness to cut through the mix because I'm trying to fight through a lot of other things going on. But in a recording, I typically want warmth and depth, and that's going to come from here, not from my nose. So if it's up and then pointing down, then I'm getting more chest than nasal. Okay? For me right now, the capsule's there. It's about my eye level. The other thing this does is that it removes what we call plosives, which is B's, P's, and T's. If you don't have a mask on and you there's a puff of air that comes out of your mouth when you do that. So if that goes into a microphone, it makes a boom. It makes a low rumble that we don't want, obviously, in our recordings. So we're going to we don't want to get that. So we want any of those puffs of air to go under the microphone, not into the microphone. Now, some people will put this at mouth level, and then they'll put what's called a pop filter, like a nylon screen between the microphone and the voice. We can do that. We have done that, and we own one. However, because of the situation of COVID, and also for other reasons, we're not going to bother with that because it's just going to, right now it's going to be just a germ catcher, so it's not a thing to do. So if it's above their mouth, aiming down, all those plosives go underneath, you should be able to get a good recording. So that's a couple things. Another important reason is this. A lot of times in the studio, the musician doesn't know the part very well yet, and they're going to use a music stand, right? Now, if I put this music stand here, where does my mic go? I can't put it here now, right? Because the cable would be hanging on top of the cable would be hanging over the stand. It would not work. It's, basic physics. You can't have two physical objects in the same space, right? Basic physics. So we want it to go up. If you've ever seen voiceover sessions for cartoons or things like that, they also mount it this way exactly for this reason, because they have the music stand. Now, there's an important issue with music stands that you have to pay attention to. Remember day one, we talked about reflections? If I put my music stand like this, my voice is going to go bonk, bonk, right? That's not good because I have my direct sound and then I have this delayed reflected sound. I'm going to have phase issues. I'm maybe even going to have resonance. There's all sorts of bad things. So if someone wants to use a music stand, it really should be at an extreme angle, because any sound that bounces now comes back to me. It doesn't go into the microphone. As a matter of fact, I kind of accidentally set this up so that the microphone is directly above the stand. So just basic math angles, it's not going to get in there. So I guess if you really want to get picky, I could even have the stand behind the microphone, and then it's really not going to get in there. But watch the angle, and you can just visualize it. If you can visualize an equilateral triangle between the mouth, the music stand, and the microphone, then you got a problem. Or any major triangle, actually. Now, this shouldn't be an issue for us, because what you're going to specifically do is that the student's going to put probably their cell phone on the music stand, and then they're going to stand back. So when they do that, those puffs of air are going to dissipate before they get to the microphone. The music stand is going to have to be at an angle to get a good video shot anyway, so you shouldn't have that reflection. So this is going to be a little bit modified for what we're going to do, but basically that's the idea. Okay, so we have and you might even be able to hear my voice resonating on this music stand. When you have, if you ever hear that, you might want to sometimes I'll put a towel over my music stand because who cares what it looks like? It's all about what it sounds like. Um, and also, if we're doing video, the video is facing this way, not on there. Um, uh, and also, if you put music stands and other things against that kind of muffle it, I'm putting my hands on it and it's not resonating anymore. So if you just put something on it, it usually stops doing that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how we do this in Pro Tools. So before we move to that, I'm going to switch back to the, uh, you know what I'm doing. I'm going back to the chat. Oh, okay. So the road case is missing. It's not on any of those shelves. I think there's 4 shelves behind there. It didn't show up on any of those. It should be in that room somewhere unless somebody's taken it.
It's supposed to be a black case, right?
Yeah.
There's, yeah, I do not see it. I don't even see the stand that you're talking about. There's this mic stand, but you said it was the stand that we had was more like yours.
Yeah, it should be a boom. Okay, so somebody's moved some things. Okay, I will go in there. You may have a microphone, called a pencil condenser, which is just a straight microphone. Same concepts. You still put it on. You don't hang it upside down, of course, but we'll
This
talk.
mic,
That's not the one we're going to use, but yes, something similar to that. We'll talk about that. That's aggravating. I don't know who moved it. It should be in there. Uh,
I'm not,
that actually might be the one we use instead. I really want to know where the Rode is. It might be in the my audio closet office thing downstairs. I'll have to look. Um, but we got some options. We got a couple things that'll work. So is anything about that setup confusing? And I know for a fact all the boom stands are down in the office. I'll bring those up as soon as I can get Dana to fix my card so I can get into the studio.
how much is that boom stand?
Um, that's a great question. So you can buy a boom stand for anywhere from, and I haven't bought them in a long time, so I'm guessing here. You can get them for $50, maybe less, and you can also spend $700 or $800 on them. There's all sorts of variations to that. There's a company called Latch King that makes some of the best ones on the planet, and those are the ones that are like $600-$700 a piece, and that is completely overkill for most people unless you're working in a high-end studio and um, you have $10,000 microphones. Then a $500 mic stand isn't quite so dumb, right? But a $500 mic stand holding a $100 microphone doesn't make any sense. So yeah, you can spend all sorts of different price ranges about there. If you look for one that's around 70, um, I found reliable ones between that 50 to 7 that around that, well, to be safe, around the $75 price range. I've got a couple that I've got at that price that I'm willing to put valuable mics on. If they're all plastic and feel flimsy, then you can tell basically. The real plasticky cheap part ones, yeah, I'll put $100 mic. I'll put an SM57 or an SM58 on that all day long, but I'm not going to put my nice Neumanns on it, right? So let's see what you got.
You're right about the prices. They're generally between, cheap, like $13 to most of them that I'm seeing are between 50 and 100, and then to like you were saying, higher end end stuff can be 200 now.
Yeah, yeah, good.
So I can
Yep.
send the Amazon link. Most of the ones I'm seeing right here on Amazon on the first page are between the $20 and $60 range.
So yeah, I'm looking at your link. So yeah, I would say the 50. I guess then I was right. The 50 to 75 range is where I'm comfortable with the expensive mics. But having said that, you've got the onstage MS7 7701B for $30. I've got probably a dozen of those, and I use those for live sound all the time, for like vocal mics and I wouldn't put my drum overheads on it, but vocal mics, toms, guitar cabinets. Yeah, those $30 ones are fine all day long because the mics I'm putting on there they could handle a fall even if they did. But my expensive stuff doesn't go on anything cheaper than $50. Let me put it that way, I guess. Um, Not that I want to go too deep down the rabbit hole of price, but one thing we're going to do later on in the semester is you guys are going to make your, I don't really want to call it a dream studio, but you're going to come up with a budget to give you an idea of what it would cost for you to make your own, I don't want to call it a dream studio, your own reasonable studio, let's call it that. So yeah, kind of explaining what these costs are. That's the reason that I keep bringing up the cost. Not that I'm trying to whatever. Anyway. Okay, so did all that setup stuff make sense for the most part? Okay, so let's talk about the important part about getting the microphone to the recorder. Okay, so I'm back on the stream. I never really left. But we've got this microphone set up now, and I have it plugged into this interface. Okay, so this is actually a portable recorder that can also work as an interface. You can probably see on the screen that it says multi-track mode on it. So it's being used. It says it's a USB audio interface. So obviously that's what's going on there. Now um, there is. This is what's called my. Whoops. Let me switch over to the other microphone. Okay, so there we go. Hey. Hey, 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 hey. Okay, there we go. Now I'm on the microphone that's closer to me, so my voice doesn't sound weird. So I've got my interface here. Now, the red is how I turn on the microphones on this particular interface. You won't necessarily have that on the interface at school. But this is what's called the trim control, okay? And we watched those videos about signal flow. This is the first part. This is the mic pre. So this is my level control right here that decides how much signal I'm going to send. Now I am totally blasting this one right now. This is not the mic we're listening to, obviously. This is the one that's on the stand, and man, I'm really blowing it out. You can see it on my meters how it's going into the red and all that kind of stuff. So what I want to talk about here is what is a good level for recording. So we talked about the calibrated monitoring thing and basically having it so that the meters are hitting negative 20-ish, and that's where we're working. Negative 20 is going to be a good number. It's a good number for a lot of reasons that I'm not going to get into yet, but you're actually going to notice that, and I didn't set this up, this is how it came, that my interface here has a 0 here and a 20 here. Okay, this is peaking, this is distortion, this is overload. 0 is where I want to shoot for. So from here, now granted the microphone is behind me, this is not how I would record, but I'm going to set this roughly so that I am getting the kind of level I need. Okay, hey, that is about where I want it to be. Notice how it's averaging, the average is hitting right around that 0, which would be negative 20 on the meters for you guys in Pro Tools. As a matter of fact, I'm going to open up Pro Tools here. I need a hard drive real quick. So I'm going to, so you also see in that screen that there's a little dot that's moving slightly higher than my average level. That's my peak level. So this is actually a great example of, see how high the peak level's going even though my average is still around 0? It's really high. So you don't you obviously don't want to. I'm gonna have to let this go. You obviously don't want anything to distort, so this is a safe place to put it. Sometimes people try to push it. Oops, sorry about the camera. And they'll record like that. And it's like, my average looks good, yeah, but you're blowing your peaks out. So I'm going to back off a little bit, and that's what it looks like on my interface. Okay, let me, going to make a quick session here. Why am I? Oh. Okay, give me a second. Sorry, my Pro Tools is set to do something that I didn't think about in advance. Oh, great. Okay, good. Here we go. Okay. So, sorry, didn't think about this part. We're going to go on the desktop. Sorry, getting there. Okay, so we have Pro Tools here. And I'm going to switch over to Pro Tools. Okay, so there's Pro Tools. And I am going to create a new track. I'm going to create a new mono audio track. And I'm going to name it now. It's important that you actually name this now. So, okay, so we're going to name this mic test. And you would want to name it the name of the student that you're recording, or whatever instrument you're recording, if you're doing a different recording. And I'm going to choose up here in my setup, playback engine. Yeah, this is my interface. Just got to make sure that that's correct. Okay. Now, I'm going to choose, when you come over here, you guys it'll look different for you guys, but you'll see that you have an option about what my Zoom's not working. You have some options about what input you use. I'm going to use input 1 because that's where my mic's connected. I'm going to hit mute, and I'm going to hit record. Now, what you're seeing now is the equivalence of what we have over on the interface. Okay? Now, the thing about this is that the interface goes to 0 because it's 0 and it's under plus 20. On Pro Tools, I have a 0 here. So you're going to see that it's roughly hitting the same spot, except it's hitting about 20, which is negative 20, on Pro Tools. Okay? This is a good level, or even less, actually, because what tends to happen is whether it's a drummer or a singer or anybody else, you're going to ask them to do a sound check, and they're going to give you some sound, and then you're going to actually go to do the recording, and they're going to get excited, and they're going to do more. They're going to be louder. So you'll get screwed in that way when that happens. So let's actually switch over. I'm going to go back to the. Actually, let me do a quick switcheroo thing on you. I'm going to pop this out. I'm going to put this in here. Great, so that now my performance is visible instead of the interface. Okay, so I'm going to turn the input back down because I'm not standing in front of it. I'm going to go over here. Check, 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 check. Hey. Okay, that looks like a pretty good level to me for what we're doing here. So I'm going to switch microphones now. Okay, I might sound a little funny now because I'm not sitting I'm sitting at my laptop. So we're going to sit here and we're going to hit record. Okay, now I have to hit record. Let me switch over back over to this microphone so you can understand what I'm saying. There's 2 levels to recording. You have to record arm a track, which means that when I hit record, I want to record on this track, because you're also going to have, let me see if I have, yes I do. Let's pretend that this is something that I'm performing to. Oops, sorry, I did that wrong. Okay, so this is an existing recording that pretend I'm singing along to it. Okay, so what I would do is this would be unmuted, and we'll talk about how you set up a send so that the musician can hear it. But then my mic is here, and I would unmute it. I'm not going to, well, I might as well, because you're not going to hear the laptop anyway. But so I am set up. I am record armed here. I am not record armed because when I start recording, I want to record the vocal, but I don't want to record over the audio. So that's the way I want this set up. And I am good to go here. I'm going to push this out of my way. And this is flashing because I hit the record button. In the, well, as soon as you arm a track, there we go. So I've armed a track. You're going to see this red light telling you that you have armed tracks. I hit this, it means I'm ready to record. Now, on the control surface that's in front of you guys in the studio, it has a record light. You would do the same thing, so you don't have to do it with the mouse. So you'd hit record, and when you're ready to hit record, you hit play, and it starts recording. Now, recording is indicated by the fact that you see this salmon-colored audio, and then you're going to see my voice show up in here. So I'm going to switch to that other microphone. Okay, so now I am... Sorry about that. I forgot that would feed that way. So basically, you're seeing my voice here. There we go. Yeah, you're seeing my voice record, and you're seeing the waveform being drawn and the meter moving to represent what it is that's getting recorded right now. Okay? This is how you can verify that you are actually getting signal. You're actually making a recording. I've seen people hit record and then you just see a line. That means you're not recording anything because something's wrong. So that's how you verify you've actually got something that you want to record. Now, remember, let me show you this. When I'm over here, remember this little sideways Christmas tree thing? This is only visual. This is not changing the level of anything. Okay? Look at my meters for my voice. Notice that it's not changing at all as I blow this way up and take it down to almost nothing. This is only visual. Okay? So you're going to notice that my recording looks louder than my backing track looks louder than my recording. That's fine because the backing track has been optimized so it's louder. So there's nothing wrong with that. This is exactly what I want this to look like. Okay? So, okay. So this is what it should look like to you. Now, when they are done, you can hit stop. Or the space bar actually does the same thing, to be honest. So that's an easy way to do it. So So yeah, when you do a recording, I always suggest that you let the not suggest, actually, I really kind of, I don't want to say demand, but I might as well say demand. You really need to hit start early and then let it go longer than it needs to go. So there's actually, we were doing some let me switch over to me so you're not looking at Pro Tools. So we were actually doing a recording there a couple years ago, and the students were doing a recording, and the band, the recording was great, but the band would finish the recording, and the drummer would hit the cymbals, and you'd hear psh, because they'd hit the cymbals for the last note, and he'd let it go for 2 or 3 seconds, and he'd hit stop. And every single recording for the entire album, the cymbals were cut off at the end. Every single recording. And it was a nightmare when we did mixing and mastering because all the songs, we had to do a quick fade. It was all psh, because he cut us off. We're in the age of digital. It doesn't cost a dime for you to keep recording for hours upon hours. So there's no reason to be stingy about when you start and stop. Hit record early so that you make sure you get the recording you need. Hit stop after it goes to complete silence. And because you can always trim that stuff away. You can always get rid of it later. So there's no reason to, there's absolutely no reason to try to nail it right on the thing. That's just not something you need to worry about. Okay, so in Pro Tools, I do need to make sure I've shown you this part. So in Pro Tools, I glanced over this real quick, but you would make sure that you have the inputs, and then that you'd have the correct playback engine, which is your interface, which should be the Scarlett, or it should show up as Scarlett something. I think it's 18i20 is what it comes. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It'll say Focusrite Scarlett or something. There is a separate Focusrite window. I don't have it because I don't have that interface, but there is something in the dock that needs to be open as well, but you shouldn't have to do anything to it. Now, there is one other important part about recording. Now, it's... actually, let me come back to that thought that I didn't finish. So, you've got your input set for your recording, which in our case would probably be input 1. We'd run a microphone from input 1 all the way in there. Now, the other thing we have to do is we still have to get the speaker into the other room. So what we're going to do there is you're going to use one of your sends that you have been using for reverbs and things like that. And we're going to say send outputs. And granted, this has a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't have. But let's say we labeled it hallway headphones. I would set that up. Oh, there, it's grayed out right now because I don't actually have that output. So let's see. Yeah, I don't have any of these outputs because I'm not connected to this actual. Yeah, so it's going to gray them out because I'm not actually connected to this right now. But you would get the send, and you're using an output instead of a bus, so it's physically going somewhere. And then you turn this up, and it will feed signal to the speaker that's in 241, and then the musician can sing along with it. Okay? And when that's all said and done, you will have a good quality audio recording as well as the backing track that they will send to me so that I can start putting together the whole video shebang. Okay? Before we move on, I'm going to go back to the chat once again. Make sure that we are all caught up. Okay? Before we move on, I'm going to go back to the chat once again. Make sure that we are all. Everybody good? Any weird, anything that doesn't make sense there? When we do this, I do not wait until the day that you're going to record to go in and mess with this. Go in and play with it. Go in and try to record yourself. You're just going to try to... the assignment I'm going to give you guys is just actually to record yourself. Is basically what we're going to do for this week. Yes?
So for their send, it'll be a speaker, not headphones?
Yes. Because we're shooting video and headphones look weird. The other thing is that it's just so much easier that we'll set up one microphone and one speaker. So my plan is that we will, and I'll come in and set all this up. We're gonna run some cables. They're gonna go under the door so you can close the door with the cables hanging out. They're gonna get taped down across the hallway. The cables are all gonna be in that other room. The speaker's gonna stay there. The only thing that's ever gonna come off on and off is gonna be the microphone for security, so nobody walks off with it. So the microphone stand, everything's gonna be ready to go. You just pop the microphone in, get your level, record them, and move on. Okay, I'm going to set up what's called a doodle where you guys can mark off what times you're available to do recordings. And then they'll match you up with a student or two to do the recordings. These are all less than 5-minute songs. So once it's all set up and you get in there and hit record, it should be 10 or 15 minutes. It shouldn't be a long recording at all, but it should be pretty easy. Should be a pretty easy first session. Yeah.
Will we go over what happens if they mess it up and we have to redo it?
They get one full take. Well, I'm sorry. They can do more than one take. They don't get to cut and paste.
Okay.
It's an all or nothing. We will talk about comping. That's called comping, to put takes together. But because there is a video component, we can't do that. I would say, so yeah, maybe it will take more than 15 minutes. They should get 2, maybe 3 full runs through it, and that's it. And they just get full takes. They can pick which take they like the best, but it's not. We're not editing them. That's not the point, right?
Are we doing? Do you want us to do syncing? So like where they clap, so you get the spike on the audio and the spike in the video audio, so you can match up the.
Honestly, if you remember, that would be wonderful. If you don't, I've done so many of these things where people forget to do it that whatever. I've
So if you prefer it, I'll do it.
I absolutely prefer it, and I was going to bring that up, but like I said, I'm so used to dealing with it if they don't that I just whatever. I've talked to him blue in the face. Clap for me, clap for me, clap for me. And then I think I keep bringing it up. I did that recording session with, or that virtual ensemble with a wind band, and ended up with 120 different tracks. More than half of them forgot to clap. So you basically take somebody else that you've already lined up and you just line it up with them. So whatever. It's not that hard to do. Also, the waveforms look pretty much the same on the video and the audio, so the clap's helpful, but it's not a deal breaker. But yeah, if you remember to, please do. But if you don't, if things are moving, so the reason that I'm not a stickler for that, and this goes to another point here, the reason I'm not a stickler for that is that it's all about getting the performer to be comfortable and give you a good performance. Screw the clap. What I don't want to do is, I know that they're in there going, okay, they're trying to psych themselves up, and then I'm like, okay, you're getting in your headspace. Oh, by the way, clap for me. Right? I just took them out of that headspace. I will deal with not having the clap. I want the good take. Right? This is going to come back again and again when I talk about recording. If you put a microphone or do something that makes the performer uncomfortable, then why are you recording? Right? The whole point is to capture a good performance. My number one priority is always that the artist is comfortable, not that I get a good I want a good recording. But there's a lot of places that I would love to put a microphone that I can't because it's really invasive, and especially on drums. There's places I would love to put a microphone, but the drummer's like, no, I'm going to hit that. That's not going to work. It's like, well, if you're holding back, then I don't get a good groove, then why am I recording? So, yeah, that's the general rule, is if you got to get a good recording, but the performance comes before the technical every time. Every single time.
Are we doing, will there be a talkback mic?
Yes, I will set that up too so that you can talk through the thing. And obviously you'll hear them through the recording mic, and then you'll be able to talk to them through the talkback. I've got a little gooseneck I'm going to bring in that we're going to plug in there that lets you talk to them. Okay? So, yeah, feel free to In this time between Tuesday and Thursday, if anybody can get in there and they want to mess with recording, there's a couple microphones in there. Knock yourself out. There's one important part that I have not talked about because I was gonna go on and talk about microphones, which we'll talk about that on Thursday. But there's an important part here. If you use the silver microphone that you showed me a second ago, that is a condenser mic and it needs phantom power. Okay, phantom power is represented by a little icon that says plus 48V. And you want that to be in and you want it to be lit up, except you don't use it. And here's the important part. You don't use it for the, never ever use it with the Rode mic if we find it, because the phantom power is supplied by the box and it doesn't actually like getting phantom power. It will actually damage it over time. It won't damage it instantly, but it will not be good for it over time. So if you plug it in and you're like, oops, just turn it off and move on with your life. It won't destroy it, but it's just not a great, it's just not a great habit to get into. Okay, so let me find this other, oh, I know where it is. Hold on a second. Oh, wait, no, I know where it is. Actually, it should be here. YouTube under this account. Okay, I am going to send you 2 videos that I'd like you to watch real quick before you do some recording. They're short. Here's the first one. This one's only 3 minutes long. I'm going to put them in the chat so you can remember them here, so you've got them. Here's my chat. There's the first one. And then the other one I think you should take a look at is this one. So the first one's technical. The second one is a little bit more it's about talkback etiquette. It's about how to talk to the people you're talking to. I see a lot of people be rude on the talkback, so you're not actually physically talking to somebody. You're not looking at them, so it's easy to forget they're a person. And it really makes a difference on your sessions. So both of those are about 3 minutes long, so it's under 10 minutes to watch both videos. So yeah, watch those before you start doing a... so it's the talkback etiquette and then one about phantom power. And the phantom power one will explain everything that, what the point of phantom power is and all that kind of stuff. And then the talkback one gives you ideas about how to talk to the other, the person on the other end of the microphone. Okay, we're actually 5 minutes before. We're pretty. I don't really have. There's nothing else I can go into in 5 minutes. Does anybody have any questions?
Are there more of these videos that you've made out there?
Yeah, I'm working on quite a few of them. It's actually, let me send you, how do I share the channel? I've never figured that one out, which is a sad, I really should be able to do that. Oh, well, if you click on it, if you go to it, if you go to any one of them, you scroll to the bottom, it says, actually let me switch back to the video and I'll show you this. So if you go here, down here, this audio beginners thing, that's my thing. So if you subscribe to that, you'll be able to see all the stuff that I've posted. And I'm still working on more. COVID has slowed me down as I've been working on school stuff, obviously. So you'll see a bunch of Star Wars stuff over here because I'm a nerd. But yeah, if you subscribe to this, you'll be able to get to all of them on YouTube. Oh, sorry, I just realized that that's happening in the stream, not on the. I switched over, so you'll see it in the stream. So that's great. So you can go back to the video and you can watch.
It says that I subscribed. It says this channel has no videos.
What?
And that's not true because I've watched them.
That's really odd. Why is that?
Did you make the videos like private?
No, they should be public.
You can go to your channel settings, check and see if they're private or unlisted.
Oh, shit. My bad. I could have sworn I made all this public. I did not. My channel's about to get a bunch of videos. I could have sworn that I made this public already. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe I did and it didn't take or something. I don't know. Maybe I tried to do it and I wasn't actually connected to the internet or something stupid. My apologies. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, and those last two are specific to one of my other websites. I don't want that one active. Okay, so now yeah. Okay, so check it out now. See if you've got it. See if it shows up. Yeah.
I've got it on my end.
Yeah, there should be, what is that, 12?
Yeah, if I go to the homepage, I can see everything, and I imagine it's just going to take a hot second to get everything.
I'm
so
sure.
I can see it if I go to the homepage or if I go to playlists, but if I go to videos, it still doesn't have anything listed.
Okay, yeah, just you know what I mean, refresh it. It'll eventually show up, so.
Yeah, I'd say probably give it 10 minutes because YouTube likes to be slow.
Yes, it does. So. Okay, cool. Anybody got any other questions? Because that takes us right up to 10 till. Cool. Well, this one will be posted if you want to go back and review all this stuff. I know that this is one of those classes that I really wish I could have us all in the same room for. But so feel free to review this, send me any questions, or just remember your questions because we're going to go back and, of course, keep talking about recording and microphones on Thursday. So, cool. Okay. Well, shoot me a message if you got anything. Everybody shoot me your PTXs if you haven't already for your projects. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Cool.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit.
Sure. Hold on. I'm going to stop the stream here.
Yeah, cool. It's nothing. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.